Hello everyone, back with another video. This time I have a match between myself and Zoidberg. It's just going to be a Chaos Turbo Mirror. This was just a random match we played, which I thought was kind of interesting. So I win rock, paper, scissors. Not the greatest Chaos Turbo hand, but the play is pretty clear. It's just Spy and MST. I don't expect warriors ever, so I don't need to put ring face down with the Spy. So I want to be able to get value from the MST from hitting end phase Jar of Greed or Dust Shoot. There was another option to maybe go like MST Faith, but that's a bit too risky, because if Breaker comes down there, I go... Well, it's not that bad, I guess. But I would rather have Breaker just hit Spy. So he starts with double upstart, set monster and back row. Obviously just going to go MST here, hitting that Dust Shoot. So I draw Thunder Dragon. Two options here. I could either flip the Spy and just start swinging, or I could summon Tribe and attack a potential Spy of his, and then use effect, so that this way I can get spellcasters out of the way before flipping my own Spy. But it's just too risky, because if that's not a Spy, then I just wasted my Tribe for no reason. So just gonna play the safer line, and I'm gonna go both Spies to attack mode. I have protection with Ring and Mirror Force if needed, and I would like to get 1200 through in case it is Dekoichi or Faith or Serpent Sangan. It's Dekoichi. Main phase 2 is just going to be Faith with Ring. You could think about holding Faith for a while, just because the MST doesn't really do anything, but I think you need to take this opportunity. Also, getting knocked is not even that bad. Could get rid of some of his lights. And I already have lights with the Thunder Dragons. What else? There's some situations where he just doesn't even trigger the Faith on his turn, and I can just draw some good spells on my turn, and the game becomes a blowout. So unfortunately he has Charity. Unknown whether he already had it or drew into it. He discards Night Assailant Serpent, so it's very good for him. Takes back to Koichi. And now uses Thunder Dragon. So now he has Light Dark as well as Serpent. So cool thing here is if he goes to knock the Faith and doesn't have any Fates in his hand, it would block him off of Charity the rest of the game. So he just goes set monster and 2 back rows. He just took Dekoichi back to his hand, so his set monster is most likely to be Dekoichi. And he has 2 Thunder Dragons in hand, plus 3 other cards. Nothing for me to do in the end phase. I draw Dust Shoot, which is a good card. I remember thinking in this spot that he very, very likely has Mirror Force, because I feel like he probably would have dropped Chaos Sorcerer if he had one, unless this set is like Spy. So if it's not Spy, he probably just has like a Mirror Force. Also Torrential possible. Zoid is someone who still plays that, and I know that. So I have to decide on a play. I don't think flipping Faith in main phase 1 really accomplishes anything. I'm not gonna target one of his cards randomly, so I'm going to decide. So that's already something I'm not gonna do. So like I said, I think there is probably Mirror Force. So I think I just want to go defense mode on one Spy and hit with the other Spy. And I still want to hit because I would rather destroy the Dekoichi than keep it there. So this is what I decided to do. It is the Dekoichi. And main phase 2. He still doesn't Regeki Break or anything. I do think it is worth it to flip the Faith now. It's possible it could still be held, but I really would rather like set MST and Dust Shoot so that the Dust Shoot gets some protection from like end phase Regeki Breaks. And I also do get to tribute the Faith for Thunder Dragon. It gives me a more... The board looks a lot more defensive in a way. Dust Shoot will get rid of any tribes, so it's not like I'm risking potential tribe on Spies and then attack over Thunder Dragon, though I do have Ring anyway. So doing this. He has Serpent Engrave, so I'm waiting. Still waiting. He clicks main phase 1, so he's saying he's not going to use Serpent. So end of standby phase, I'm going to flip up the Trap Dust Shoot and show hand. So note that he made a play really quickly in that main phase 1. If you actually look at the log, it was, let's see, enter standby phase. It was enter main phase 1, 2 seconds later set Faith. So this tells me a couple things. First, it tells me his plan for turn was to set Faith, not use his knock, and not summon BLS or Chaos Sorcerer. So that kind of like, it reinforces my idea that he has a removal trap in Mirror Force or Torrential. Probably both, but most likely definitely Mirror Force, because Torrential is not as safe. I feel like with Torrential I might want to drop the Chaos Sorcerer down, but with Mirror Force he's cool to just keep chilling and setting one monster. Anyway, for my Dust Shoot decision, I have plenty of BLS and Chaos Sorcerer answers. I have Ring, Tribe, Mirror Force, and I don't have any answer for the Faith, and if that Faith resolves and finds Charity, I'm going to be in big trouble, so I just have to send Faith. And he still doesn't take back Serpent, so that tells me he kind of just like forgot it on this turn. Okay, so he sets a Jar of Greed. So note that he once again does not use Knock, does not use Sorcerer or BLS. What does that tell you? It's really looking like he's obviously like flipping his cards face up. He must be able to answer my monsters, or else there's no way he would ever make this play. So for this, I'm thinking whether I should actually MST the Jar of Greed or actually go after one of the old two. I obviously wouldn't do it right now. I would think about that on my turn. But eventually I decide that it's like too risky because one of them could just be like a Regeki break or something chainable. And so like, what if I hit the chainable instead of the mirror force? Right? So I just decide I'm going to keep playing around Mirror Force Torrential and take the Jar of Greed out of the equation while still having answers for the Chaos Monsters. So I draw Nobleman, which is a good card. Yeah, so here I have the decision. If I flip Thunder Dragon, hit Torrential, that's really bad. I would rather make him use Torrential on his own with like a Summon Serp play. And I thought about like just attacking with both spies here, getting Mirror Forced, but if you actually look at how that looks afterwards, it's really not a great situation. So I would rather just swing for 12. He'll probably allow it. He won't Mirror Force. He'll drop down to 56, and the more life points he drops down, it's good because I have Ring. So my play is just playing slow here, hitting for 12. And main phase 2, I do want to set Mirror Force, and the reason is if he has Regeki Break face down, I don't want him to be able to go Regeki Break, target my back row, and then just start slamming a bunch of chaos on me. Which I do have a tribe for, but I would take a lot of damage. So I would rather just be safe here and set the Mirror Force. So he takes back his Serpent now, sets another back row and a monster. So when he sets back row, let's see, his only settable back row last turn would have been Knock now. So he's either doing one of two things. He either drew Faith and decides to set Knock along with Faith as like a kind of bluff to say, hey, I actually drew like a Jar of Greed or a Tribe Dash, no, not Dash Shoot. I drew like a Jar of Greed this turn, so I'm setting Jar of Greed and I'm setting Serpent. So don't go after my Serpent with something like a Regeki Break while actually having Faith. However, that's like a really advanced kind of thinking that Zoid is probably not doing. So it's most likely just some trap card he drew, some back row that he wants to set, and a Serpent rather than that advanced play. So I draw Dash Shoot, which again is a really good card because I know he has BLS Sork in hand. So I think here on whether I actually want to use Knock. And I think the answer is yes. And the reason is just because I want to keep getting the damage in without turning the second spy to attack mode. Yeah, because to get damage through Serpent, I would have to turn this to attack mode and then play into Mirror Force. So I would rather just keep chipping away, and the lower he gets, the more dangerous my Ring becomes. And, you know, getting rid of Serpent from the game is never a bad thing. So yeah, it works just like that. Set Dash Shoot. Now I'm no longer prone to any more of his top deck Dash Shoots. For now, at least. So he goes, and I will Dash Shoot at the end of standby phase. We see another Jar of Greed drawn. I actually think for a second about this. It's kind of tempting to like you would think just autopilot BLS back, right? But Ring does get more damage on BLS, but it's not really relevant in this situation. So it's just something to think about. Don't automatically put back the BLS. At least consider if you would like extra damage on Ring. I decide the damage doesn't really matter that much, and so I just put back BLS. Oh, another thing about that actually is my tribe, right? My tribe would be able to call warriors, which destroys BLS, but if I call spellcaster, I would have to destroy my other spy. So basically I'd be forced to use Ring on the Chaos Sorcerer. Anyway, I put back BLS. And he's going to flip another Jar of Greed. Sets a monster in a back row. Still not summoning the Chaos Sorcerer. Like, this is as face up as you could put a Mirror Force ever. Mirror Force and probably even Torrential. Because last turn he wouldn't have summoned Serpent and used TT. Because if I turn a second monster to attack mode, he can Mirror Force me. If I don't turn a second monster, then I would just be wasting turns versus Serpent. So he could still easily just have Mirror Force and TT set. I draw Night Assailant for turn. So the monster he drew is the Unknown Draw, which could be, it could be 3 spies, 2 fates. I guess Tsukuyomi is technically possible, but unlikely. So it's just 3 spy, 2 fates, Sangan, another Dekoichi. I decide this is the point I actually want to do something. I decide I'm going to flip Thunder Dragon. It's unlikely his monster is Sangan. There are more non-Sangans, so if he wants to torrential away his own faith out of fear that I maybe have another knock trying to put big damage on, he would have to decide on flip. He doesn't do anything. Doesn't necessarily mean he doesn't have torrential. And I actually decide I'm okay swinging into Mirror Force in this situation now. Yeah, because like when Sorcerer drops, I'm gonna have to destroy my own spy anyway with Tribe. So I may as well just do this, and if he wants the Mirror Force, just let him. He does have Mirror Force and decides to use it. Main phase 2, I have a decision on whether I want to set Night Assailant and make him use Nobleman on it. But I decide I would rather save this Tribe Night Assailant line. And I'll just end turn here. I do play into any top deck dust shoots, but I decide it's worth it. He flips over to Koichi, and now decides to drop the Chaos Sorcerer, banishes, uses the Jar of Greed that I knew about. Mirror Force doesn't really do anything here. Yeah, it doesn't like open up any weird game shots or anything, so. He sets a back row, ends. So what do I still know about his hand? I know Knock and 2 Thunder Dragons still. Middle card is something I expect to be a good trap card. That could be a Torrential, it could be Regeki Break. So I go main phase 1, no dust shoot, that's good. So with the top deck Sorcerer, there are ways that I could win the game right now. It's a bit too risky to just go all in though. I think a nice line is just going Tribe. Just going Tribe to clear the board. Pitch the Night Assailant to destroy Sorcerer. Decision between Spy and Faith. I decide on Spy. I do still have another Spy in deck. But also the Spy is 1200 damage, which is important right now. The Faith, the only thing that really would do, because I don't care about MST or knock right now, the only thing that would do is bait his knock to get rid of his 2 remaining Faiths. But that's just like, this is like 2 turns away, so like it's really not doing much. I think the Spy does more guaranteed. And I'm going to discard the useless Thunder Dragon to get in an extra 1400 damage. Plus, I get underneath Dust Shoot. I play hard into top deck duos, but if he were to duo, my ring wins through chaos at least. So he goes Snatch, tributes it, and swings. Is there a reason to use Mirror Force or Ring right now? I don't believe there is. Definitely not Mirror Force. Like, that really just accomplishes nothing other than taking damage off the board, I guess. But it's not like I'm going Summon Chaos Sorcerer, Summon Spy, attack. So yeah. Plus, on my turn, I could still game him even with the Thunder Dragon on field if I choose to. And I draw Sook. So I do still have Snatch in my deck. The play I decide I'm going to do here, I don't want to set Spy because he has Nobleman. So that wouldn't accomplish anything really. I would just be wasting a turn. I could set Sook to bait Nobleman, potentially. That's like not the worst. And if he were to like attack for some reason, I could Mirror Force or Ring. But I decided I do want to attempt to end the game right now. There's like a Chaos Sorcerer like Sook, but it just plays hard into TT. Yeah, I decided I'm just gonna summon summon Spy. Ask for a response, so he would have to use Torrential right now to block off Snatch Steal for game or Ring for game. I guess Ring would still be game if I did have that. Okay, so he allows this, and I just go Ring. And here I think whether I should just summon. He's probably gonna have Regeki Break. But I don't know, I just felt it in my bones that he has Torrential, so I'm just not gonna play into it. I refuse. I attack and he goes Break, which is not even like a bad situation for me because he's wasting Regeki Break on a Spy. I still have Mirror Force face down and still have a pretty good hand for following up. And what do I still know in his hand? I know just the Nobleman. He goes for Set Monster and a back row. I draw Heavy Storm. So unfortunately, I don't have any sort of game shot here. And I also don't really have any good plays. I can't summon Sorcerer unless I Storm, so I have to like just keep these in my hand. However, I don't really have any use for the Sook, so I decided I'm just going to throw that down, and it'll make my top deck flips live. I still have plenty. I have Dekoichis, I have another Faith, whatever. Bunch of stuff I would like to set on future turns. And if he doesn't use Knock, he'll just run into Sook. It was also possible he went for double attack mode Spy into Mirror Force, but he probably also has an idea that this back row sitting hero this whole time is a Mirror Force. So it's going to be hard to get value off that. He hits for 12. I could Mirror Force that, but I decide really, why am I going to do that? I do get 1100 off that Spy. Unfortunately, it's not game, but it is a lot of damage. Unfortunately, he has Sook. And I draw Regeki Break. I still can't really do anything. I just kind of have to stall this out for a bit. So I'm going to set Break and pass. And he flips up Heavy Storm, so he probably has game. My best play here is just use a Regeki Break to destroy a Spy. And I'll take... I lose to any Chaos, so... yeah, he just has BLS and Sorcerer. Okay, game 2. I once again go first, and once again open very mid, like below average for a turbo hand. There's definitely still some good stuff going on though. Sangan could potentially bait mind controls. You know, Sangan Breaker could go in for damage. I have Nobleman, I have Faith Knock, so obviously this hand works just fine. So unfortunately he has Nobleman, Pot, Thunder Dragon, sets monster and a back row. I draw a Jar. He does not have Dash Shoot. I obviously just have to use Nobleman. I consider Breaker here, but it's just going to hit Jar of Greed too much. So best play is just going to be Faith and Jar of Greed, which also blocks off his next set monster. It does play hard into mind control, but it is what it is. So he goes for Spy Attack, which is a very weak line. So I take the Nobleman back to my hand, and he just passes turn. I draw a Pot, which is a great card. I think the best play is just using Jar of Greed, which finds Thunder Dragon, use that. I don't suspect that Zoid is on Solemns in this build, so I'm cool just playing Pot first. Find Charity. I once again have the decision to summon Breaker and to get like guarantee the Charity goes through, but again I just am not feeling that he plays Solemn. I find Upstart, Dust Shoot, Jar, very good cards. And now use the Upstart to find another Dust Shoot. So since he didn't use Jar Greed last turn, he probably doesn't have it. And considering his play was this weak, I would say his back row is never Jar of Greed. Otherwise he would have just used Jar of Greed to attempt to make a better play on his turn than just summon Spy. So I think the back row is something... it's probably like Regeki Break. but I'm cool like forcing out the Regeki break on my breaker, and then still like scouting the hand with Dust Shoot's Jar, and I'll be able to restabilize. Like the 1200 is not doing that much to me. So he goes break, destroy the breaker, and I just set Jar, Dust Shoot, and Dust Shoot. Don't want to set break because I have no intention of using it, first of all. Dust Shoot gets rid of anything that I would care to use Regeki break on, and also I don't want the break to get in the way of my Heavy Storm later on. Okay, so he goes, takes his Serp, and I use Dust Shoot. We see the hand. I actually don't know why he takes back Serpent with this hand. When I set 3 like this, I have Dust Shoot 100% of the time. So he could have just forced me to Dust Shoot away a Thunder Dragon and then take back Serpent. Of course, I do have a second Dust Shoot if he did do that, so it's not actually changing too much for this specific game, but if I only had like 1 Dust Shoot, then yeah, that would have changed something. Obviously, I only have one choice, taking the Serp, and he could potentially brick my Dust Shoot, but for him to do that, it would be like he would have to commit a lot. Right? He like his standard play would be like Jar Ring, but that still gets Dust Shooted next turn. So you would have to like tribute off his Spy, which is not the worst. It gives him a dark, but I'm cool. Just if my Dust Shoot's dead, my Dust Shoot's dead. I would rather it be dead than putting back a Thunder Dragon. So he goes for the 1200. And main phase 2 does decide to tribute set. Interestingly, he sets the Noble, the Mind Control as well, which I guess is playing around a duo. But also holding Mind Control in his hand would still have played around my other Trap Dust Shoots unless I force his Jar of Greed with Storm. But if I have Storm, that's destroying Mind Con anyway. So yeah. I draw a ring, use Jar of Greed, find a second Nobleman. Yeah, my play here is going to be pretty obvious. I want to get rid of the Mind Control, so I'm going to Heavy Storm. He does yet to change Jar of Greed, but this is enough value for me. You very rarely get this much value from Storm on a Turbo Mirror, so this is good. And now I have a decision between whether to knock or not knock, and I decide I'm going to use knock. I'm trying to think about why I'm using knock. I know why I did it in game. I did it because I didn't want this Thunder Dragon to be in the way when I start swinging with my Spies. But looking at this now, like I could use Ring on the Thunder Dragon. The problem is he knows I have a knock in hand. Right, this is why I did it. He knows I have knock in hand, so I'm going to use the knock to make it seem, to make him think, to make him kind of like be safe in setting something. Although that also kind of gives off a read of like, why would I use knock if I don't have another knock or a Mind Control? So, yeah. In any case, that's what I do. He just sets a monster. I flip spy, use nobleman, hit for 24, and set jar agreed. He finds upstart and finds chaos sorcerer. Sets a monster. I draw Dekoichi. I use jar, which finds chaos sorcerer. So this could be faith. I have like a play where I could go. What can I do? I could do like chaos sorcerer, banish, defense mode, Regeki break. Regeki break is set monster, but that's really bad. And let me explain why. Let's look at his remaining set monsters. There are probably 2 Dekoichis, Sangan, Serpent, 2 Faiths, that's probably it. But there are more. There's only like 33% Faiths, and I should still be fine in handling a situation where he goes pot of greed when I have boards of like sorcerer, Dekoichi, spy with ring break face down. So there's no reason for me to go all in and just Regeki break a set monster, especially since I don't have a good discard. I decided I'm just gonna swing into the set monster with spy. It's the Sangan, which finds Dekoichi. Interesting that he searches Dekoichi instead of Faith. But I guess he wants to like leave an option open for him to attack into my spy with the Dekoichi. And I definitely want to set Regeki break because his hand right now is just Dekoichi Thunder Dragon. If he just sets Dekoichi on his turn, on my turn I can just Regeki break his Dekoichi, attack with everything, ring sorcerer for game, because that's 49 plus 23, which is 72. So he finds the best card in his deck to draw, which is Charity. I'm really hoping I don't see Heavy Storm into follow-up here. That would be really bad. So he has Tribe discard Dekoichi, so it's a good play, but it's not insane at all. I can still work with this. I use Ring on the Tribe. I don't want to hold because I want to be able to pressure with the Dekoichi. Plus I need to get rid of the Tribe anyway. Hit for 14. I don't want to set anything. I forgot, I had a read on this. It's impossible for him to have duo because actually it is possible for him to have duo. Because he would like, in his mind, he would like attack into my set Faith or something and then duo me main phase 2. I still think it's a bit. I feel like he would still probably discard duo instead of Dekoichi in that situation though. And he definitely doesn't have Heavy Storm. And those are like the 2 cards I'm thinking about right now, Duo and Storm. Maybe it's... No, I can't set anything because I want to be able to discard one for Regeki break and then still have another. I don't want to commit to either in the back row for discarding for Regeki break. He summons Breaker and I'm going to Regeki break. I'm obviously going to discard Mind Control. I know his hand is Serpent. If the other card is Chaos, I want to be able to have Snatch for that. And if it's not Chaos, I don't want Mind Control facing 50-50s of Serpent on following turns. So attack for 14. He's saying he doesn't have chaos. I set break. He sets monster plus back row. This monster is probably something he had last turn, unless this back row is a bluff. I draw a duo, which is good, because now I can just freely attack into Faith and then duo main phase 2. I don't even have to worry about like using Regeki Break and flipping on whether it's Serpent or Faith. Okay, this works out fine for me. He goes for BLS, passes priority, swings. So let's calculate life points right here. I know his hand is Serpent. Back row. He doesn't use Regeki Break, right, on my back row. Which, if he had Regeki Break, before making this play, he probably would have gone Regeki Break, Pitch Serpent, and then, you know, guarantee the 4,600. Plus my back row could still be Mirror Force, second Regeki Break. He doesn't have Ring remaining. That's an important one here. So I can just allow the 46, and he'll go main phase 2, probably set Serpent. On my turn, I'll Regeki Break, discard whatever I draw, snatch for game. And that's exactly what happens. That one was a bit closer than it needed to be, but he got that top deck Charity at just the right moment. Okay, so game 3 he opens duo. I still have a good hand, I just don't hit my pot of greed. He rolls a 3, so that's the Dekoichi, and I have a decision between Deco, Sorcerer, Upstart. In these situations where you get duo turn 1, you pretty much never want to discard cards that give you more cards. So Pot and Upstart are staying 100% because these cards can find you better cards. So it's between Chaos Sorcerer and Dekoichi. Benefits to keeping Sorcerer would be if I find my Thunder Dragon, it would be live right away. However, Sorcerer is just not that important in the Turbo Mirror early on. It's not like he's just going to summon a Dekoichi and I'm going to banish it, right? He's going to set monsters. So I would rather have a play where I can set Dekoichi after I use these draw cards. He goes for set 3, draw heavy, and he sends away my Dekoichi. Okay, so this is like probably some like the 3 of the best cards I could have in this situation. Obviously, I don't really want to use Heavy Storm because I am going to suspect that Zoid is not just playing into Heavy Storm here. Though it's possible to try and break my dust shoots, it's still way more likely he has a Jar of Greed though. Yeah, and, this is again the situation. I don't expect Solemns, so if I did expect Solemns, I have to use Heavy Storm. But since I do not expect Solemns, I just use Pot of Greed. And I don't suspect that he has a second dust shoot, because if he did, he would do one of 2 things. He would have chained dust shoot to his dust shoot in draw phase, or he would have held duo in his hand and just double dust shoot me and then duo me next turn. So I'm not worried about another dust shoot. I still decide to hold priority anyway because there's no reason not to. Now I have a decision. What do I want to do with the heavy? Do I want to use heavy? Do I want to summon Sangan? Do I want to set Sangan? Do I ever want to set Tsukiyomi? So the answer is no, I don't want to set Tsukuyomi because I need this to out Tribe Breaker. So it's just between Sangen, whether I want to summon it or set it. Summoning sounds pretty good. Remember, he didn't commit any monsters to the board on turn 1, so there's probably a knock or mind control. Because what other cards could you have? I mean, obviously there could just be like 2 Dead Chaos in hand for him, which would be really bad for him. But think about all the cards I'm gonna want to set in this spot. Let's say I have Spy, Dekoichi, Faith, even Night Assailant. I want to set all these monsters. So his mind controls are going to be really strong for him overall on average. So I need to have Sangen sometimes to kind of balance out this range in a way. Because if I'm summoning my Sangen, then whenever I set a monster, it's going to be something that just gets destroyed by mind control. Other than the 2 Night Assailants, I guess. Still, you can maybe, like, I don't know, 50-50 this. I didn't use any RNG in game, I just decided to set it. He does have Nobleman right away. Plays Upstart, plays Jar Greed, sets a monster, my turn. Okay, so now that he's set a monster, this can obviously be Spy, Dekoichi, Night Assailant, Spy, Dekoichi, Night Assailant, Faith. Probably not Sangen, given the situation, but he also could set Sangen for the same reason I set Sangen. I say like his position probably doesn't set Sangen that much though. So let's think. First of all, if he has Spy Faith, my Sook blocks those from hitting me. If he has Faith, wait, did I say Spy Faith? I meant Spy Dekoichi. Sook blocks those. If he has Faith and wants to go for Duo, this is a reason I don't want to set Night Assailant right now. Because I have a Dekoichi engrave. So it's the play on this turn is going to be between setting Sook or passing turn. And I decide if that's Spy, that's going to be really bad. Like, I'm going to take 2400 when I could have had a Sook set. And then I'm just like praying that I draw some way to summon the BLS. So I think setting Sook is the best play. There is like one tiny little downside to it. If he has Faith and goes for Duo, that's going to be guaranteed to hit either BLS or Heavy Storm. So one of those must go. Obviously, I get to make the decision if he chooses Night Assailant. But, you know, having BLS gone would be pretty bad. Even having Heavy Storm gone would be kind of bad. Not as bad, though. Anyway, I decide I want to block damage with Sook. So, fortunately for me, he has Mind Control. And he goes for Summon Breaker. Flips my Sook to put his Breaker face down. Sook goes to my hand. So let's think about what just happened there. What monster could he possibly have that he couldn't just flip his own monster and souk it down so that his breaker didn't have, so he didn't have to do this to his own breaker. And the only answer I could come up with is a souk, right? Because that's the only monster. If he has souk face down right here, he would not be able to flip it up and then flip it back down with my souk, because his own souk will be flipped down by itself. So he had to summon this breaker and do this. So, I mean, if you're thinking about like all the possibilities of what this can be, you should now always read Tsukuyomi, unless Zoid has made just a huge error. So I draw the Thunder Dragon, which is very good. And now I just have a clear play here where I go Storm. I do read souk. I guess I'm like kind of scared of committing to the read. Like I have a safer line that kind of does the same thing. It's whether I just want to get the Night Assailant in play, which I don't necessarily need to. I could keep the Night Assailant. Like this does the same thing as just attacking, except I would have the option to set Night Assailant. So it's like playing around Zoid making like a huge blunder with something. I don't know. What if I'm just like hitting into a Sangan that he didn't want to show me or something? Obviously super unlikely. Or who knows, maybe like a Night Assailant that he doesn't want to show me. No, not Night Assailant. Definitely not Night Assailant. Because he would have flipped that, then gone souk. It was Tsukuyomi, always. So he has another knock. Unfortunate. He would have only had one knock and one Minecon left. I could drop Thunder Dragon here and press with Sorcerer, but I really don't need to. I can just set Night Assailant and play this one slow. He sets monster, I draw knock. Just going to be flipping Knight, summon souk, hit for 11. Really no reason to go crazy here. I do give him light dark here, but the worst he can do is summon BLS, which I can easily answer. He summons Knight, swings, which implies chaos is coming to break up this Night Assailant souk loop. In his position, he could just keep Night Assailant Sorcerer in hand and just keep taking 1100 for a few more turns. He does still have like 7 turns of doing that potentially. So instead of just wasting cards like this, he could have taken 1100 a turn. And if I ever decided to press with like a Chaos Sorcerer, then he has his own Chaos Sorcerer to get rid of that. So I go Sorcerer Spy, he sets 1, passes. I don't want to play into a Torrential here, because then I would have no way to pressure, so obviously just swing it for 23. I decided to set Jargreed first, and the reasoning for that is just in case he has a Dust Shoot that he doesn't want to flip until the battle phase, and his reasoning for not flipping it until the battle phase would be that he doesn't want me to flip a Spy and get in for 4700 damage. So he would wait until battle phase to flip Dust Shoot. But I'm just outsmarting him in those situations by just setting a Jargreed first, not allowing him to take advantage of that, basically. And main phase 2, I still don't really see a reason to flip and then get torrentialed, so I'm cool with passing. He goes upstart, jar, snatch. Snatch is like his best card here, but I obviously don't have like an amazing answer right now. I have like Sook Knock, but I'm going to be finding another card plus the Jar of Greed. Plus I could also turn my spy face down, keep gaining 1,000, stall more, rather than going for a Sook Knock line. He sets monster, I draw Charity. I'm just going to use Knock and Jar and Charity. Discard the Dust Shoot Thunder Dragon, and Breaker ends the game. So that's the end of this review. Thanks for watching. See you in the next one.